Okay, so we were chatting, and you were mentioning a workout that you said might be embarrassing, and I said, okay, should we start the camera or not start the camera? God bless you. You said start the camera. So what's going on?
Well, it wasn't the workout that was embarrassing. I'm actually really happy with myself
Oh,
because,
okay, good.
as we've talked about, I've been through a bit of a dry spell with everything going on in life. And anyway, I was saying to you that this week, back on the horse. Today's Wednesday that we're recording. I've already done 2 jujitsu sessions this week, and I got a CrossFit workout in there too. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic that we're back, baby.
Nice,
But
man.
summer's in full swing here in Nashville. And man, that means the hot, humid weather, which offends my Canadian sensibilities. Anyway, so I had finished doing some chores out on the property the other day and literally had sweat through my work clothes to the point that I just looked like I jumped in a lake. And the sun had gone down enough, it was cool enough. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get a workout in at this point. And so went into the little barn that I've got set up there, stripped down into my underwear and completed this workout in my own barn in my underwear. And I was like, this is it right here. I'm living the dream.
Freedom, man. There you go. I mean, you have
So-
arrived when you can do
right.
that.
So anyway, I just, yeah, it was a good time.
Now, truth be told, you've got the freedom and the land in Tennessee to do that without anyone noticing. But I feel like you could have done that back in Oakland, but people would have just thought that you were maybe, living a different
Yeah, sure.
lifestyle.
That's true.
It's
yeah.
just two sides of a different, two different sides of the same coin there. Yeah, I hit I hit yesterday. I hit Jorge. I told you, went really well. I decided to make myself uncomfortable. And I don't look at my times, any previous times before I do the workout. I just go how I decide to go that day. And I was hustling, like I was really, really uncomfortable, but I didn't think I was. When it was all over, I was within 17 seconds of like a lifetime PR. I'm like,
Yeah, man.
it's one of the times like I wish I had known that. I could have grabbed 17 seconds over the course of that
think?
workout somewhere.
Don't torture yourself like that. You really think?
I could, because I was keeping it uncomfortable, but over the course of all the reps of that workout, I could have picked up, dilly dally, get into the GHD. Did I need to chalk again? Maybe, maybe not. But I was stoked today. I got some interval work that I'm dreading a little bit, and but I've got some fresh cinnamon raisin bagels in the Sherwood household, and
Oh boy.
I picked those up yesterday, and I have to think that's why Jorge went so well.
Oh yeah.
I have to think it was the sweet carbohydrates.
I will push back vehemently. I think that the dedication and the normal discipline that you have in your training over the
I think
months
it was
and
the
years.
bagels. I think it was 100% the bagels. But
Keep telling yourself that.
before we kick off the show, I'll do the housekeeping, which is appreciate everybody's support. You want to help keep supporting the show? Go to very.random.com. Check out all the cycles that we offer. There's tons of different on-ramp ones, a whole bunch of like ones under the umbrella of get your first particular movement. Then there's some barbell work. There's some engine building things. And again, you can find those in very.random.com. Before we clicked on today, I did a little analysis over the last 4 weeks, the top 4 that people are grabbing. Do you any ideas? Or I can just give them to you.
I had peaked a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to think back in the memory banks as to what stood out. Give them to me. I'm
The
drawing a blank.
number one is the run, bike, row.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Which is very cool. So that's
Yep.
12 weeks long for anybody who doesn't know about it. Just build that engine short, medium, long, and it is run, bike, row. You could stick with just one of those things for the entire 12 weeks, or you could do run today, bike tomorrow, row the next day. So that one's number one. And then in a
bench press.
in a two-way tie for second place is the 1.5 mile run program that we do with Henshaw. That's always popular. And then get your first strict pull-up. Those are tied for second. And then in third place, and you're living this lifestyle yourself, back on the wagon. 8 weeks for, you kind of let it fall off, and now you got to get back after it. So those are the top ones right now, but check them all out. And then if you're a gym owner, btwb has you covered with their all-in-one solution. So you got workout tracking, gym management, and billing all in the same software, all in the same tech, integrated nicely. So go to btwb.com if you're a gym owner and check that out. Well, allow me to curse us by saying that I don't think this is a particularly long one. So this is a question.
So buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, right. From Kristie A. And this is what she had to say. At what age should you start dropping weight during workouts? Meaning, I'm 54 years old. I can do 35-pound dumbbell snatches. So should I just keep doing them indefinitely? Or is there a point that I should not? I have a friend who keeps asking me why I'm doing the Rx'd weight, and my answer is because I can. First of all, great answer, right? Isn't it? I mean, honestly, like Mike, that's a great answer right there.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's almost that simple, I think.
I do too. And I think that, yes, part of the game of training and part of the like real reason to do it over the long haul is to try to, claw onto those abilities that you fought so hard to develop and maintain them as long as possible. So yes, I think that you're absolutely barking up the right tree to try to maintain that as long as possible. Perhaps some context is in order. When we start looking at like the cultural phenomena that is competing in CrossFit as a sport, at a certain point, it became important to start bringing in masters athletes. There's a huge population of them. There was interest, etc. Now, anytime you start...
And they were complaining. I mean, let's just be honest.
But hey, it's a good
I'm a master myself. I'm joking.
It's a good complaint when you have somebody that's like, we want to be able to do this.
100%.
Set it up for us. Like, that's awesome. Point being is that once you get into the realm where you have to create an offering for a wide swath of people, you have to start dealing in things other than what pertains specifically to the individual. And so you're starting to look at thousands of masters athletes now that you have to have a competition that would be appropriate for all of them. Otherwise, it really disincentivizes people to compete if you have this pool of a couple thousand people, but only one or two can actually do the thing, or a handful can do the thing.
Yes.
At a certain stage, like maybe a final event, maybe that's appropriate, but across the board, it's typically not for a competition. You bear it out by having people do something that most can do and see who can do it faster or better, etc. And so that's where those kind of step downs came from. It is not at all a training directive for the individual, particularly the individual who's been training for a long time and has worked hard to develop these abilities. So for that reason, I think, the name of the...
Kristie.
Kristie, I think Kristie nailed it. Hey, you've worked hard to be able to do this. You can still do it. Keep doing it as long as you can. Who cares what the RX is unless you happen to be in a competition? Well, then, of course, you're going to do what that competition calls for.
Exactly, because you can't have everybody on the floor doing a different workout, then you can't judge them and it doesn't matter. I would say for Kristie as well, first of all, yes, like I think you're on the right track. And it can be that simple, and there's some more to it that I don't know if I will articulate properly, but I'll flesh it out as I'm talking it out. Like general things, okay, in this case, you're moving the 35-pound dumbbell for the dumbbell snatch, but you could fill in the blank with, it's the front squat, it's the jerk, it's the ring, it's whatever it happens to be, it's the loading. Whether you're 25, 35, 45, 55, or 65, that quote-unquote prescribed loading is just a recommendation, right? For the general intent, the general stimulus of the workout that applies to a broad swath of people. And generally speaking, it works really well for that. And so if you understand that, then when you are moving that particular loading for that amount of reps, the total volume of the workout, whether it's a workout that has a lot of interference, a low interference, whatever it happens to be, the general stimulus that you're going after is, does your form maintain to an acceptable degree? Are you generally preserving the intent? What I mean by the intent is like, yes, if you can do Fran, but it literally takes you 90 minutes, like, yes, you did do Fran, but you're kind of missing the intent of that workout. So are you generally keeping to the intent? Does that particular movement, loading, rep range, or whatever at your age or your ability level cause you pain or discomfort? And those two things are different. I'm in discomfort every single workout. Does it cause you pain? If the answer is yes, well, we assess those things. But if you're moving well, you're pain free on that particular loading, and you're able to generally keep with what the guidance or directive as to why you were training that day was for most people. I think drive on with your mission, generally speaking, because yes, you're 54, but I'm here to tell you, as somebody who oversees a community of people working out, no two 35-year-olds are the same, no two 50-year-olds are the same, no two 60-year-olds are the same. There's just because you're the same age as somebody else, your capacity, your ability, your fitness background, so many things differentiate other than just your age. I would
Yeah.
focus far more on your ability level to appropriately tackle and handle that workout and loading than the age. Now, Father Time remains undefeated. Okay.
True story.
So probably for most of us that are not androids, at some point in time, we'll realize that we're not a unicorn, and you probably will have to make some adjustments, whatever that means for you. But just because you ticked over one more birthday and you suddenly are now in some category that was created based upon something which may not apply to you, you don't necessarily need to walk up and grab a different dumbbell that day. That's all that I would say.
100%. Yeah. In that, I will double down on this idea that training age is probably way more influential than like calendar age. If you're somebody that's been hitting it hard for a long time and you've developed these abilities over those years, exactly what you said, man. Just because you flip over that calendar doesn't mean that something's changed fundamentally. On the other hand, if you're somebody who's not trained that much in their life, you're stepping into the gym at the first time at age 57. Well, yeah, it makes sense that you're not going to be given the same barbell as the 22-year-old that's walking in through the door for the first time. That makes sense. But that doesn't mean that limits you in terms of where you should put the cap on that ability either. And that's the other thing that I will always come back to. I haven't ranted about this in a while. It feels like, Pat. So let me let her rip. Just this idea that I fundamentally have issue with, which is I will cap my abilities because I expect this is what I'm going to see if I choose to compete. Insane to me. Why would you, if you are training for progression, and that's really at the base of it, what we're all striving for, I think, is to get better, to get more well-rounded, to be more capable, to be healthier, to be able to throw yourself into any physical situation and be generally okay. If that is the underpinning philosophy, then when you get to that ceiling of whatever weight, skill progression, intensity, you don't just say, okay, well, that's it, I'm hanging it up. No, you want to keep pushing a little bit past that. So why would that change just because you're a certain age? In my opinion, it does not. Obviously, within reason, like you talked about, is it good movement? Is it not creating an issue? Obviously, that sort of thing. Well, yeah, that weighs in. But just because you're a certain age doesn't put a cap on your ability to continue to progress. And I'll also say that on that, maybe competing is your thing, and maybe that is what fires you up and gets you, motivated to train. Even more reason, if you can get to the point where a 40-pound dumbbell, a 45-pound dumbbell, a 50-pound dumbbell is routine for you, and then you go sign up for some competition and in your age group it's a 35-pounder, it's like cheat codes. So, if you have that ability and that is something that you built up to, why change your training strategy just because of some anticipated outcome at a competition? It's crazy to me.
And I will say, for myself, things that I've modified or changed over the years, just listening to my body. Anybody who's followed this for a while knows I've been very vocal. I get, terrible shoulders, nothing from working out, just other dumb things that I've done in my life. And I've tried my best to strengthen, to keep them open, but shocking, they're not getting better as the decades tick by. And these days, generally speaking, I don't really do kipping chest to bar pull-ups anymore. They just don't feel good. And it's not discomfort. It feels a little painful and not in a good way.
But butterfly style or regular? Just curious.
Either, yeah. It just doesn't feel good. And I'm mystified as to why. I can do strict chest to bar chin-ups, strict chest to bar, but the kipping doesn't treat me well. Kipping chin over bar treats me just fine. Like all of the other variations treat me fine.
Hmm.
So, that happened to me now, but could have happened 5 years ago, could have happened 5 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, but going by those things that I said, form, pain, intent, and all those things, it doesn't, I relatively speaking eliminated those from my training protocol, and I'm just fine. I can still do kipping chin over bar, and I actually I'm one of those weirdos that really enjoys strict pull-up work. So I'll do strict chest to bar chin-ups on those days, and I'm a little slower, but I have yet to see it like slow me down in the real world. And I get plenty of other like ripping pull-ups fast on other days, and it all comes out in the wash. And so it's all good. And so I think with some strength and conditioning IQ, some fitness IQ, some honest introspection about yourself, weighing where you are, what you got going on, I think you'll be able to make a wise decision. And you might have like, for me, it's my shoulders. So maybe there's an upper body pulling workout that I need to modify, and someone will be like, Pat's got to modify that because he's turning 50 this year. You know what I mean? He's got 1 foot in the grave. Well, it wasn't an age thing. If I probably didn't do the dumb things to my shoulders that I did earlier in life, I may have to do that. But I don't have to modify a deadlift weight, or I don't have to modify a back squat weight, but I do have to modify this one thing. But that's just me. And there could be somebody my exact same age that has a wildly different set of parameters. They had a a mountain bike wreck. They got a bad left knee. They have to modify lower body stuff. I don't have to modify lower body stuff at all. So again, I think the general concepts are good things to have in your head, but don't feel like, again, beating a dead horse just because you celebrated a birthday that the dumbbell loading has to change. That's all. It's you analyzing yourself and then making the best decisions so that you can continue to train intelligently for a very long time. That's what I would have as the guiding light, the North Star, if you will.
Yep, 100%. I will offer one more thought, and this is from kind of a different perspective. And this is the perspective that I wish I would have had more as a younger coach. Because when I was younger and more gung-ho, I didn't really understand on a fundamental level, like, hey, what is it like to be an aging athlete who's had some time in the saddle? And I look back at some of the decisions that I made coaching at that time, and I'm like, maybe that was a little aggressive, Right. So what I would say, particularly to coaches that are biologically aged younger, not necessarily inexperienced, but coaches that are younger, that do not have that experience yet of being in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and being active for that entire time, is that, yes, sometimes you do need to take the heat off, particularly with newer people. It seems obvious, but it is easy to fall back on your own personal experience and fitness level as kind of the bedrock that you make other coaching decisions from. And I would just encourage coaches in that position to make sure that they're entering into these with eyes wide open. So that's all I'll say on that is, hey, young coaches out there, don't take this as free license to just like let her rip with your 67-year-old client. You obviously have to use your best judgment. And that's at the end of the day, what they're paying you for is your expertise. So make sure you take that into consideration based on the level of the athlete that they actually display, not just what you think they should be at.
Amen to that, 100%. Well, Kristie, I hope that helps you. I mean, like I said, we could all circle back to your wonderful answer of you do it because you can. Yes, 100%.
Hell
awesome
yeah.
Response. So if anybody out there has thoughts or comments on this particular topic in general, shifting of weights or loadings or whatnot at certain phases of your life, is it age dependent? Is it not? Let us know. Find this show on the btwb YouTube channel. Post your thoughts and comments. We read all those. Ideas for future shows, topics, post them there. They help drive the content of the show. You can also go to the Varied Not Random Instagram account, leave a public comment. Or if you want to be anonymous, you can send a direct message. All those things make their way to us. And yeah, we appreciate it. So for Adrian Bosman, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we'll see you next time.